It's a great name you have for your foundation, Sager Family Traveling Foundation and Roadshow.
Yes.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, it's also very descriptive. We go into a village somewhere or a refugee camp or some kind of circumstance with a whole crew, and we set up shop, so to speak, and it does come in a little bit like a roadshow. But the reason that I have used that name is exactly the smile that you had on your face when you were saying the name is the smile that I've seen so many times around the world. Sometimes philanthropy can just take itself too seriously. You know, we're in the business of, making a difference in people's lives, and we know better, and this type of thing. And I wanted it to not, even though the things that we do are deadly serious, I didn't want the foundation itself to feel too self-important. My big thing with the photographs, especially of the children, is that you're not supposed to feel bad for these kids because they don't want our pity. There's no point for them to that. And I'm not showing them in my books or my exhibits because I want people to say, oh, look at those poor kids, I want to give them a hug. Hopefully, by spending time with these children, we take strength from their strength. We feel a little bit more grateful in our own lives. And in return for that strength and that gratitude, we go find ways to give other people hope, and not just by giving money, but by giving something of ourselves. And again, it's very much a two-way street. In Rwanda, a country at the time of only 7 or 8 million people, almost 1 million people were murdered in 100 days because they were from a different tribe and because they were manipulated by the political powers. But that was it was just amazing. People killing their neighbors, the children killing children. The way that the people of Rwanda moved forward was to try to look at each other not as a Hutu or as a Tutsi, but as a Rwandan, as a fellow human being. Rwanda is a kind of a miracle, what's happened there. And I think that there's a lot of lessons that the rest of the world can take from Rwanda in thinking about compassion, empathy, and common humanity. There's a lot of beauty. There's a lot of beauty inside people's hearts and souls, and the problem is, I don't want to. I'm feeling like I could start to go blah 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 about beauty in the world and everything. Yes, I would say this. There's lots of beauty in the world. The problem is that when we let it be obscured by lies and hatred and greed and jealousy and fear. So it can be right there in front of you and you cannot see it. of the United States and the soul of so many places around the world have been ripped at. And it doesn't heal by itself. It heals by people's mindful addressing, an active addressing of that wound. You know, there's a quote from the great Sufi poet Rumi, who said that the wound is the place that the light enters you, and that would be, if we can apply that to this last year, the wound that we have, not just from COVID, but from all the other things that we've discussed, if that's a way for the light to enter us, then we would have spent a really difficult, terrible year, but it would be, in the long run, quite worth it. We all have saints in our lives, but most of the time we miss them because that's my stupid little brother. I'm not gonna listen to him. That's my teacher. That's the lady that works in the cafeteria. That's my parents. Whatever your bias is, I'm not gonna listen to that person because of what my preconceived notion about what they have to say is. And as a result of those preconceived notions, so much wisdom, potential wisdom, just kind of floats by in the river of life. It just comes and goes. And unless you are open to wisdom from wherever it comes, to knowledge from insight, then it will float by. And the clock's ticking, right? We don't have time for things to float by. We only have time to make a commitment to living our life as full, with as much passion and as much compassion as we possibly can. What Tibetan Buddhists talk about are disruptive emotions. Disruptive emotions like greed or anger or jealousy or fear. And the whole process of meditation and mindfulness is to try to have some control over those disruptive emotions. So you can have a brilliant person that can't tame his or her disruptive emotions, and it sort of chokes off their brilliance. We know so many people who, are really awesome, artists or intellects or whatever, but they haven't trained their minds to be able to deal with the disruptive emotions. And that's I think that's a critical part of the Tibetan Buddhist practice. hope that I can make people's lives just a little bit better. I hope that I can stimulate some thinking so that the people that see my photographs or that read my books are more inclined to think more holistically about the world. And it's one concrete baby step at a time. It's one impression at a time. It's one emotion at a time. And while I do all that, I hope that I get to learn something and to feel something, to have some fun. And I mean, I'm an artist. I want to have great photographs. I'm not saying that I don't want, that I'm not caring about the photograph itself. But what I am saying is the photograph is the end of a process, not the beginning.